Ladies and gentlemen, the mind is the architect of our reality. Every thought we entertain, every perception we choose, and every reaction we allow determines the course of our lives. If the mind is left unguarded, it can become our greatest enemy, trapping us in cycles of fear, doubt, and hesitation. But if we take control of our minds, we take control of everything that matters: our emotions, our choices, and ultimately, our destiny. Many people believe they are powerless in the face of circumstances. They blame the world for their misfortunes, pointing to bad luck, unfair treatment, or obstacles placed in their path. But the truth is, external events are beyond our control. What is within our control is how we interpret and respond to those events. If we allow circumstances to dictate our state of mind, we become slaves to every misfortune, every insult, every unexpected turn of fate. However, if we learn to govern our minds, we rise above external chaos, remaining steady no matter what comes our way. The first step to mastering the mind is understanding that thoughts are not absolute truths. A passing worry, a self-doubt, or a moment of anger is just that, a moment. It has no power over you unless you grant it power. But most people do not recognize this. They allow negative thoughts to fester, letting them grow into overwhelming fears or paralyzing anxieties. The mind, left unchecked, can become a breeding ground for self-sabotage. We replay mistakes from the past, worry about problems that may never arise, or allow a single failure to define our worth. This is an illusion. The mind is not meant to be a prison, it is meant to be a tool. And like any tool, it must be used correctly. To control the mind, one must practice awareness. You cannot change what you do not notice. Pay attention to your thoughts. When a negative idea arises, do not accept it as reality. Question it. Challenge it. If a voice in your mind says, "You are not good enough," ask, "Who decided that?" If doubt creeps in, remind yourself that doubt is merely a habit, not a fact. The more you become aware of your own thinking, the more power you gain over it. The thoughts only control you if you accept them without question. Emotions follow thoughts. If your mind is consumed by anger, fear, or resentment, your body and actions will reflect that. You will tense up, lash out, or make choices rooted in negativity. But if you learn to control your thoughts, you can control your emotional state. Imagine a man insulted in public. If his mind is weak, he reacts instantly, fueled by anger, perhaps escalating the situation into something destructive. But if his mind is disciplined, he remains unaffected. He does not give power to the insult. He recognizes that another person's words do not define him. This ability to remain steady, to refuse to be ruled by impulse, is true strength. Many people seek happiness in external things: wealth, recognition, the approval of others. But these are fleeting. A mind that depends on external validation is never at peace, because it is always at the mercy of circumstances. If you rely on praise to feel worthy, you will crumble at the first sign of criticism. If you need everything to go perfectly to be happy, you will spend your life in disappointment. True happiness does not come from outside, it comes from within. A person who has mastered their mind finds peace in any situation. They are content not because the world is perfect, but because they do not allow the world to dictate their inner state. Self-discipline is essential in controlling the mind. Just as a muscle grows stronger with training, the mind becomes sharper with practice. Every time you resist the urge to complain, to react in anger, or to give in to fear, you strengthen your mental discipline. Small victories lead to greater mastery. If you want control over your life, start with control over the small moments. Choose patience when things go wrong. Choose focus when distractions arise. Choose to remain calm when faced with challenges. With time, these choices become habits, and those habits form the foundation of an unshakable mind. There will always be difficulties. No one is exempt from hardship. But hardship is not the enemy, weakness of mind is. Two people can face the same challenge, yet one is broken by it, while the other emerges stronger. The difference is not the situation, but the mindset. A person who has trained their mind sees obstacles as opportunities. When plans fail, they adapt. When they fall, they rise. They do not waste time complaining about things beyond their control. Instead, they focus on what they can do. This resilience is the mark of a truly powerful mind. It is easy to fall into the trap of excuses. I can't help feeling this way. It's just the way I am, or life is unfair. But these are just stories we tell ourselves to justify inaction. The truth is, we always have a choice. We can choose to dwell on negativity, or we can choose to rise above it. We can choose to remain stuck in old patterns, or we can break free. The mind is flexible. It can be trained, refined, and strengthened. But only if we take responsibility for it. Taking control of your mind is not a one-time decision. It is a lifelong practice. Every day presents new challenges, new distractions, and new temptations to revert to old habits. But the more you practice mental discipline, the easier it becomes. Over time, you will notice a shift. You will no longer be easily disturbed by setbacks. You will stop seeking approval from others. You will develop an inner stability that no external force can shake. This is the ultimate freedom, the ability to remain in control of yourself, regardless of what happens around you. Control your mind, and you control your life. Not by changing the world, but by changing the way you see it. Not by eliminating hardship, but by refusing to be broken by it. A strong mind is the foundation of a strong life. And the power to shape that life has always been in your hands. Life is full of uncertainties, challenges, and external forces that we can never fully predict or control. The more we try to grasp onto things beyond our reach, the more we suffer. People waste countless hours worrying about what others think, resenting the past or fearing the future, all while ignoring the only thing they truly have power over: their own thoughts and actions. To find peace, one must detach from the uncontrollable. Consider how often frustration arises from things outside of our influence. A traffic jam makes us late, and we fume with anger. A stranger's rude remark lingers in our minds for hours. A sudden change at work throws our plans into disarray, and we become consumed by stress. But in all these cases, the reaction is a choice. The traffic, the words of others, and the unexpected obstacles are outside our control, yet we allow them to dictate our emotions. Instead of focusing on what can be done, leaving earlier, ignoring the insult, adapting to the change, we waste energy fighting reality. It is a battle that cannot be won because the external world will never fully conform to our desires. The only victory lies in mastering our response. Many people spend their lives seeking control where it does not exist. They want certainty, approval, and outcomes that match their expectations. When reality does not align with their wishes, they become anxious, bitter, or frustrated. But control over external circumstances is an illusion. The weather will not always be pleasant, people will not always be kind, and events will not always unfold according to plan. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means recognizing that our peace should not be dependent on forces beyond our reach. It means acknowledging that while we cannot dictate the world, we can dictate how we engage with it. Fear is one of the strongest chains that bind people to the uncontrollable. Fear of loss, failure, or uncertainty can keep someone trapped in a state of constant worry. But what does fear accomplish? It does not prevent misfortune. It does not change outcomes. It only drains energy and clouds judgment. Imagine someone who fears losing their job. They may obsess over office politics, analyze every word from their boss, or stress endlessly about potential layoffs. But none of these actions give them true control over their employment. What they can control is their performance, their adaptability, and their ability to prepare for challenges. When they focus on these, they transform anxiety into action. Fear disappears when one stops clinging to what cannot be grasped. People also attach themselves too strongly to the opinions of others. They crave validation and fear rejection, making them slaves to external approval. But the thoughts of others are beyond control. A person could act with the best intentions and still be misjudged. They could seek to please everyone and still face criticism. If happiness is tied to the approval of others, it will always be unstable, shifting with every passing opinion. True freedom comes from letting go of the need for external validation. When someone lives according to their principles rather than the expectations of others, they gain an unshakable sense of self. The past is another domain where attachment to the uncontrollable causes suffering. Regret, guilt, and nostalgia all pull people backward, trapping them in moments that no longer exist. No matter how much one wishes to change the past, it remains untouchable. Yet many people allow their minds to dwell there, replaying mistakes, reliving pain, or longing for what was. But the past has only the power that one grants it. Detachment from the uncontrollable means recognizing that the past is a lesson, not a prison. It should be acknowledged, learned from, and then released. To carry its weight unnecessarily is to chain oneself to a ghost. The same applies to the future. People try to predict and control what has not yet come, believing that enough planning or worrying will guarantee a favorable outcome. But the future is always uncertain. Unexpected changes will come, plans will unravel, and circumstances will shift. Those who are attached to a rigid vision of the future often struggle when reality does not match their expectations. But those who remain adaptable, focusing on what they can do rather than what they wish would happen, move through life with greater ease. They do not resist change, they flow with it, adjusting and responding rather than clinging and lamenting. Detachment from the uncontrollable is not a passive surrender but an active practice. It requires constant awareness, discipline, and the willingness to let go of illusions. It is the ability to step back from emotional reactions, to see a situation clearly, and to respond with wisdom rather than impulse. It is not about rejecting emotions, but about not letting emotions be dictated by forces outside oneself. Anger, frustration, and fear arise when there is resistance to reality. Peace arises when one accepts reality and focuses only on what can be influenced. Imagine a river. If one tries to control its flow, to push against its current, they will exhaust themselves in vain. But if they learn to navigate with it, to adapt and move within its rhythm, they reach their destination with ease. Life is much the same. Those who resist, who cling to what is beyond their power, suffer endlessly. Those who accept, who shift their focus to what is within grasp, find freedom. To detach from the uncontrollable is not to disengage from life but to engage with it more effectively. It is the difference between reacting and responding, between struggling and adapting, between being ruled by circumstances and ruling over one's own mind. The world will continue to move as it always has, sometimes in our favor, sometimes against it. But the person who understands detachment moves with grace, undisturbed by the uncontrollable, unshaken by the unpredictable, and at peace within themselves. Emotions are powerful. They surge through us in moments of joy, anger, fear, and sorrow, shaping our reactions and decisions. They make life vivid, give depth to our experiences, and connect us to others. But left unchecked, emotions can also lead us astray, clouding our judgment and pushing us toward impulsive choices. While emotions are natural, they should not rule over us. The ability to step back, assess situations with clarity, and respond with reason rather than impulse is a mark of true strength. People often make decisions in the heat of emotion, only to regret them later. Anger provokes harsh words that cannot be taken back. Fear causes hesitation that results in lost opportunities. Impulse leads to commitments that later feel like burdens. These moments happen because emotions by their nature are temporary and reactive. They surge in response to a stimulus, often distorting reality. When someone is consumed by anger, their perception narrows, focusing only on the offense and ignoring the broader context. When they are overwhelmed by fear, their mind magnifies the danger and underestimates their ability to handle it. If one lets these emotions dictate actions, they are no longer in control, the emotions are. Reason, on the other hand, offers a different path. It does not ignore emotions but places them in perspective. It allows for thoughtful responses rather than immediate reactions. A person who operates with reason acknowledges their feelings, but does not allow them to dictate their choices. They recognize that just because they feel something strongly does not make it true or worthy of action. Instead of reacting out of anger, they pause and assess. Instead of succumbing to fear, they evaluate the risk with clarity. Instead of chasing temporary pleasure, they consider long-term consequences. This ability to choose reason over emotion is especially crucial in moments of conflict. Many arguments escalate because people prioritize their feelings over rational discussion. When someone feels attacked, they often respond defensively, seeking to protect their ego rather than understand the other perspective. The result is a cycle of reaction, where emotions feed further conflict rather than resolution. But when reason takes the lead, conflict is approached with calmness. The goal shifts from proving oneself right to finding a solution. It becomes easier to listen, to recognize one's own biases, and to respond in a way that de-escalates rather than inflames. The same principle applies in personal struggles. Many people allow emotions to dictate how they perceive themselves and their abilities. A moment of failure leads to feelings of inadequacy, causing them to doubt themselves unnecessarily. A single setback creates frustration, making them question whether they should continue pursuing their goals. But emotions are unreliable narrators. A bad day does not define one's worth. A temporary feeling of discouragement does not mean that progress is impossible. When reason takes control, setbacks are seen for what they are: temporary obstacles rather than permanent barriers. The person who chooses reason does not allow fleeting emotions to shape their identity. They recognize that feelings come and go, but truth remains steady. There is also great power in choosing reason over emotion when dealing with uncertainty. Fear of the unknown often prevents people from taking risks, exploring new opportunities, or embracing change. The mind, influenced by emotion, imagines worst-case scenarios, convincing people to stay within the familiar, even when it is not fulfilling. But reason sees beyond immediate fear. It assesses risk logically, weighing potential rewards against possible losses. It understands that discomfort is often necessary for growth, and that fear should not be a barrier to action. Many great achievements come from individuals who did not let emotion dictate their course. Leaders, innovators, and pioneers throughout history have faced criticism, doubt, and fear, yet they moved forward because they relied on reason rather than being swayed by their emotions. They understood that passion without discipline leads nowhere, and that action must be guided by clarity rather than impulse. The same principle applies on a personal level. The person who chooses reason builds discipline, makes sound decisions, and remains steady even in turbulent times. They do not allow temporary emotions to derail them from their goals. None of this means that emotions should be suppressed or ignored. Emotions provide valuable information. They signal when something is important, warn of danger, and enrich life with meaning. The key is to recognize their influence without allowing them to dictate decisions. To feel anger but not act out of it. To experience fear but not be controlled by it. To acknowledge sorrow but not drown in it. This balance, where emotion informs but reason guides, is where true wisdom lies. Every day presents opportunities to practice this balance. In moments of frustration, there is a choice: react impulsively or step back and assess. In moments of excitement, there is a choice: rush forward blindly or consider the consequences. In moments of fear, there is a choice: retreat into safety or move forward with calculated courage. The more often one chooses reason over emotion, the stronger the mind becomes. What once required effort becomes second nature, and over time a person develops the ability to remain steady regardless of circumstances. Choosing reason over emotion is not about cold detachment, but about clarity. It is the ability to remain grounded when the world tries to shake you. It is the practice of responding rather than reacting. It is the discipline to act with wisdom rather than impulse. When reason takes precedence, life becomes less chaotic. Challenges become manageable, relationships become more harmonious, and decisions lead to long-term success rather than short-term relief. In the end, the mind that is ruled by reason is the mind that is truly free. Adversity is an unavoidable part of life. No one moves through the world without encountering challenges, setbacks, and moments of hardship. Some people allow adversity to break them, seeing it as an unfair burden or an obstacle too great to overcome. Others, however, use adversity as a source of strength, understanding that struggle is not merely something to endure, but something to learn from. Strength is not developed in times of comfort, but in times of difficulty. It is forged in moments when everything seems against you, yet you choose to persist. When adversity strikes, the first instinct is often resistance. People wish things were different, that life was easier, that challenges did not exist. But hardship is not an enemy. It is a teacher revealing parts of ourselves that remain hidden in comfort. It exposes our weaknesses but also gives us the opportunity to strengthen them. It tests our patience, our resilience, and our ability to adapt. The person who refuses to be defeated by hardship emerges stronger, wiser, and more prepared for whatever comes next. Pain and struggle force people to confront their inner selves. In comfort, it is easy to be complacent, to settle into routine without questioning personal growth. But adversity shakes everything, forcing people to ask themselves difficult questions. How much can I endure? What truly matters to me? Who am I when things do not go my way? The answers to these questions are not found in theory but in experience. A person does not know their own strength until they are forced to test it. They do not know their true character until it is challenged. Those who rise through struggle learn more about themselves than they ever could in times of ease. Adversity also reveals what is within our control and what is not. Many people waste energy lamenting circumstances they cannot change, focusing on what has gone wrong rather than what they can do. But the person who finds strength in adversity shifts their perspective. They understand that while they may not control events, they do control their response. They do not let failure define them, nor do they let difficulty deter them. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in mindset turns obstacles into opportunities for growth. Struggle teaches resilience, the ability to keep moving forward despite setbacks. Every great achievement is built on a foundation of perseverance. No one succeeds without failure. No one reaches their goals without facing moments of doubt and discouragement. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is not the absence of adversity, but the ability to keep going despite it. Each challenge overcome is a testament to personal strength, proving that no hardship is permanent and no obstacle is insurmountable. There is power in choosing to see adversity as a gift rather than a curse. Difficult times strip away distractions, forcing people to focus on what truly matters. They reveal who is truly supportive, what beliefs are worth holding on to, and what fears must be confronted. Many people only discover their true potential when forced to fight for something, when they are pushed beyond their comfort zone and realize they are capable of more than they ever imagined. Finding strength in adversity does not mean ignoring pain or pretending difficulties do not exist. It means facing them head-on, refusing to let them dictate one's future. It means understanding that struggle is part of growth, that hardship is not the end, but the beginning of something greater. Those who embrace this truth emerge from adversity not weaker, but stronger than ever before. People often speak of their intentions, plans, and beliefs, but words alone accomplish nothing. Promises without action are empty, and ideas without execution remain mere fantasies. In life, what truly matters is not what is said, but what is done. Those who understand this principle do not waste time talking about what they will do, they act. They know that action is the foundation of progress, growth, and success, while words, if not backed by effort, are meaningless. The world is filled with people who talk about change but never take the steps to create it. They make resolutions, express ambitions, and discuss grand plans, but when the time comes to act, they hesitate. Excuses arise: fear of failure, lack of time, or waiting for the perfect moment. But the truth is that the perfect moment never arrives. Action must be taken despite uncertainty, despite fear, despite imperfection. Those who wait for ideal conditions often achieve nothing, while those who move forward despite obstacles find success. Action is what separates true commitment from mere intention. A person may say they want to improve their health, but unless they consistently exercise and eat well, their words mean nothing. Another may claim they value relationships, but if they do not show care, make time, or offer support, their words ring hollow. True character is revealed through action. A person's values, priorities, and beliefs are not shown by what they say, but by what they do consistently over time. History does not remember those who simply spoke about great things, it remembers those who acted. Every breakthrough, every revolution, and every achievement was built not on words alone, but on the effort of those who dared to take action. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and creators did not just talk about what needed to be done. They stepped forward and made it happen. This principle applies not only on a grand scale, but in everyday life. Progress, no matter how small, comes from doing, not just thinking or speaking. Words are easy. They require no sacrifice, no effort, no discipline, but action demands commitment. It requires pushing past discomfort, enduring setbacks, and showing up even when motivation fades. Those who understand the value of action know that effort is more powerful than intention. They do not seek recognition for their words, they let their actions speak for them. They know that in the end, results are what matter. Action also builds credibility. People are judged not by what they say they will do, but by what they actually do. Trust is earned through consistent effort, not promises. Those who repeatedly act with integrity, discipline, and perseverance gain the respect of others, while those who rely on empty words quickly lose credibility. When action aligns with words, a person becomes reliable, strong, and respected. Choosing action over words also develops personal strength. Every time a person follows through on a goal, takes a step forward, or overcomes resistance, they build momentum. They prove to themselves that they are capable, that they have control over their lives, that they are not bound by fear or doubt. With each action, confidence grows. Over time, taking action becomes a habit, and success follows. Life rewards those who take action. While others talk, those who act move forward. While others wait for the right time, those who act create opportunities. While others dream, those who act build. In the end, it is not what one says they will do that matters, it is what they actually do. Action creates change, shapes the future, and defines who a person truly is. Many people live their lives seeking approval from others, shaping their choices based on external validation rather than personal purpose. They worry about how they are perceived, adjust their behavior to fit expectations, and measure their worth by the opinions of those around them. This constant pursuit of approval may bring temporary acceptance, but it does not bring fulfillment. True contentment comes from living with purpose, from aligning actions with inner values rather than chasing the fleeting approval of others. Living for approval means constantly adjusting to external pressures, trying to meet standards that are often impossible to satisfy. Society, family, and peers all have expectations, and those who rely on their approval become trapped in a cycle of pleasing others. This creates anxiety, as self-worth becomes dependent on factors beyond control. When approval is received, it brings momentary relief, but when it is withheld, self-doubt takes over. This unstable way of living leaves a person without a solid foundation, always looking outward for reassurance instead of inward for direction. Purpose, on the other hand, is internal. It is a guiding force that provides meaning, regardless of external opinions. Those who live with purpose are not easily swayed by trends, criticism, or societal pressures. They know what matters to them, and they act accordingly, even when their choices are unpopular. Purpose provides resilience, making it easier to stay committed to goals and values, even in the face of doubt or disapproval. When a person is clear on their purpose, they no longer need validation from others to feel worthy. Seeking approval often leads to compromises that weaken authenticity. People may suppress their true beliefs, hide their passions, or engage in behaviors that do not align with their values just to fit in. Over time, this erodes confidence and creates inner conflict. The more a person shapes themselves to please others, the more disconnected they become from their own identity. Eventually, they may find themselves living a life that is not truly their own, filled with choices made for others rather than for themselves. Living with purpose requires self-awareness. It demands asking difficult questions. What do I truly want? What principles guide my actions? What impact do I want to have? These questions lead to clarity, helping a person distinguish between what is essential and what is merely an expectation imposed by others. With this clarity, decisions become easier and external opinions lose their power. Criticism no longer feels like a personal attack because purpose provides confidence in one's path. Approval is temporary, but purpose is lasting. People's opinions change, trends shift, and admiration fades, but a strong sense of purpose remains constant. Those who build their lives around external validation will always feel unsettled, adjusting themselves to maintain favor. But those who live with purpose remain steady, knowing that their direction is based on something deeper than public opinion. They do not fear rejection, because they are not seeking approval, they are seeking fulfillment. A purposeful life is one of action, not just intention. It is not enough to simply know what matters, one must live by it. This means making choices that align with core values, even when they are difficult. It means standing firm in the face of doubt, staying true to personal beliefs, and taking steps toward meaningful goals, regardless of external recognition. Over time, this creates a sense of peace and confidence that cannot be shaken by others' opinions. Living with purpose does not mean ignoring others entirely. Relationships, community, and shared values are important, but they should not come at the cost of one's own direction. The right people will respect authenticity and appreciate someone who stands by their convictions. Those who demand conformity or conditional approval are not offering genuine support. True connections are built on mutual respect, not on the constant need for validation. In the end, a life built on approval is fragile, always dependent on external forces. But a life built on purpose is strong, rooted in personal truth. Those who live for approval may find acceptance, but they will not find fulfillment. Those who live with purpose, however, will find both meaning and freedom. They will move through life with confidence, knowing that they are not merely existing for the approval of others, but truly living for themselves. The greatest freedom comes from living a life that is true to yourself, not one dictated by the expectations of others. Approval fades, opinions change, and no matter how much you try to please everyone, there will always be those who disagree. But purpose is unshakable. When you stand firm in your values, pursue what truly matters to you, and define success on your own terms, you gain something far more valuable than approval. You gain self-respect, fulfillment, and a life of meaning. In the end, the only validation that truly matters is the one that comes from within.